Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
This is Alex. I'm in red. This is the Ramble. That's in white. And we're on till midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States. Sitting there up in Massachusetts, where you park the car in the garage, right? And where everybody's retarded.
Retarded.
I never thought you had a Massachusetts accent.
Well, when I would come home, I don't forget I lived in Europe for a couple of years before I moved out west, so it kind of diminished over time.
Yeah.
But now that I'm back here, my accent is back.
It starts coming back, huh?
Yeah.
So you're parking the car in the garage again?
I am parking the car in the garage.
So how's everything up there?
Everything's good. I mean, I go for my second shot a week from today.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, the Pfizer or Moderna?
Pfizer.
Pfizer. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a good product.
Yes.
It's really what?
You've had your second vaccination, yes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have a little thing on my phone now. It's a passport, and
really,
and it says that I've had my second shot, and expires in about 6 months or 5 months, and it's cool. It's really cool.
Really, I got a card that goes in the wallet.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably start this thing up there too, where it's on your iPhone, and it's actually, I think it's more reliable because they go to the database in the state to get the information to put into your card that you show people on your phone.
Right.
Get what I'm saying? Whereas there are people going out now and forging these cards.
Is that right?
Yes. There are people running around selling the cards for a price. Yeah. So the government says they're going to clamp down, though, because it's a CDC card, which makes it a government card, which makes you doing something fraudulent with government paper.
Right. It's a federal. It's a felony.
It's definitely a felony. Yeah. So listen, something I never really, I think in all the time that I was doing those radio shows in San Francisco, I never asked comedians about where they came from and how they were raised and what influenced them and so on.
Okay.
Now, what I know about you is you were raised in Massachusetts, in Concord?
Worcester.
Worcester. Why do I keep thinking Concord? Worcester, like the sauce.
Like the sauce.
Well, that's Worcestershire.
Right.
Why don't they call it Worcestershire? It's spelled the same way, I think.
No, it isn't. It's spelled Worcester.
Oh, okay.
And that comes out to Worcester.
Worcester. Okay. And the other is Worcestershire sauce. But anyway,
right.
So you were born there, and what kind of neighborhood did you grow up in?
Middle class neighborhood, lots of kids.
Yeah.
All baby boomers. The whole neighborhood was full of kids.
Yeah.
We're all within 3 years of each other.
Yeah, because your fathers came home from the war and then screwed their brains out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's what a baby boomer is.
Right.
So was it a happy childhood? I mean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember mine, which is a few years earlier than yours, and the times we grew up in, my God, compared to today, were simple for us.
Yes. It was a much simpler time when I grew up.
Absolutely. Much.
I mean, we didn't even lock the doors.
Well, I remember my parents used to say, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to the movies," and I had to walk a mile down to the movie theater. And
Right.
I'd go to the movie theater all by myself, and I was like maybe 9 years old.
Right.
What?
We would walk back and forth to grammar school, which was about a mile.
Yeah. What parent would let their kid walk to school that far anymore?
None.
None. They drive them to school.
Right.
They drop
pick
them
'em
off.
up.
They pick them up. Right.
Yeah.
But us, nobody was worried about it. Occasionally a kid got kidnapped. You heard about that.
Right.
You know, but nobody was really worried that any harm would come to their kid if they, you know, just.
No, just they thought no harm would come to us in the back of the station wagon with no seatbelt.
Yeah, or in the front seat with no seatbelt. Even worse.
Right. But in the way back, where it's just like a cargo area, and they'd stick the kids.
I remember a friend of mine had an Oldsmobile, I think an Oldsmobile station wagon his parents had. And in those days, the dashboard was metal.
Yes.
It was pure, unadulterated metal.
Yes.
Right? And in the middle of the steering wheel, they had a rim that you honked the horn with, a little rim that went around it. But in the center, on the Oldsmobile, was this big, pointy, sharp thing that kind of stuck out like it was a pyramid. You know, it was really fancy.
Right.
And I can't imagine how many people impaled their brains on that.
Well, that's just like, Alex, I don't know, the automatic braking. How many people have gone through the windshield over that thing?
Automatic braking?
Yeah.
Well, but what happens is today, if you have the automatic braking and it happens and it's too abrupt, your bags are gonna go.
Right.
You know, so you're still safe. But in those days, I mean, how anybody even survived a car crash is beyond me.
Right.
You know, first of all, they bumped their head on this metal dashboard, and then they pierced their forehead, do a lobotomy on themselves with the steering wheel.
There you go. That's a sales pitch.
Yeah, but our parents didn't really care. They okay, go on. You know, or Mom, I'm going out to play, and then I would go climb up in the hills, in the forests.
Sure.
You know, and my
Eventually, my mom had to get a cowbell so that we could hear her from the distance, and when we knew it was time to come in for dinner.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So,
that's the only time you came in. You came in to eat, and then you went out to play until the streetlights came on.
That's right.
And in the summer, you got to stay out in the dark.
You know, but I mean, I mean, parents weren't as worried about their kids then.
No.
And kids had a certain freedom to go wherever they were going to go. And I remember, you know, I used to go out, I used to climb in the hills, and then it was dinner time, I came home. And they kind of thought I was kind of like the dog, because the dog also wandered wherever he wanted to go. And when he got hungry, he came home.
Right.
So I was kind of in there with the dog.
The dog would just scratch the back door, and you just let the dog out. It came back when it came back.
Yeah, well, I remember I had a cat, and we had this kind of in the bathroom. There was a window that was kind of like one of these windows that kind of tilts out, right?
Right.
So we always left that open, and the cat would come in and out there. So we knew the cat was home when we would hear thump thump. As he would jump down to the counter below and then onto the floor. And, the cat's home. See, these are things that, when you remember them, were so simple.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, if you're a kid growing up today, I don't know if you're ever going to have those kinds of memories anymore.
Well, do you remember all you needed was a can to play kick the can with all the kids in the neighborhood?
Yeah. You didn't need to go to buy the can at a toy store.
No,
you know?
No. And have it electronically emplaced.
Yeah. Kick the can. I don't know if I ever played Kick the Can.
I did.
Really?
Yeah. We played another game called The Great Escape. It's basically hide and go seek.
Isn't kick the can kind of a kid version of soccer? If you think about it.
You'd have to really stretch.
Well,
You'd have to really
I
stretch.
know I just made soccer fans get mad at me, but you know.
What kick the can fans?
Kick the can fans? Yeah.
Yeah, they're mad at you too.
We should have kick the can in the Olympics. You know? Right? Right?
Well, that would be open to everybody, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so you know, it was you had a pretty good little childhood then. Most
Right.
kids in those days did. I mean, unless they came from very very poor families, and even if you were very very poor, you did have the outdoors, and
Right.
the outdoors were free.
Right.
And so no matter how poor you were, everybody had the outdoors.
Right.
You know, but today they don't have the outdoors that much. You know.
No.
Mom, I want to go to the park. Well, I'm busy right now. We'll go down later.
Right. Whereas we just split.
We just split and go to the park. You know.
I mean, in the first grade, like I said, I'm walking a mile each way to grade school.
Yeah. Now, speaking about school, were you a good student?
Up until my junior year in high school.
Really? What happened in junior year in high school?
Me and drugs got even more cozy.
Got cozy, huh?
Yeah.
So you were a good student basically up until that point.
Right. And then I went to an alternative school where I became a good student again, and I graduated with my class.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to UMass.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to Paris. So I studied for 7 years before I got to San Francisco.
Yeah. Now, in that time, were you doing drugs at all?
In France, just smoking pot.
Uh-huh.
But that was it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we finally come to the notion that pot is kind of a somewhat benign drug.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I mean, you don't want somebody to be on it all the time. I was talking to Pearl yesterday, and he says he's smoking pot all day long. And I go, how can you do that? You know, I use it for recreation. Have you heard the term recreation?
Right.
You
See,
know.
I use it for sleep.
I do too. It's in fact, I don't do it for any other reason. My wife loves to have her little joint every day, or have a couple of puffs off a joint, and she
Right.
goes, "You want some?" I go, "Nah, I'm not." But come 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm feeling like I can't exactly sleep. I go do a couple of hits off a joint,
Right.
and I'm out like a light.
Yep, me too.
Now you say you do pot to put yourself to sleep, but you're a person who we could say is a drug addict, right?
We can't just say we own it. We own it. I am a drug addict.
You are a drug addict. So how does that work with you with marijuana? I guess it doesn't have the same effect, right?
No, and like I said, I don't abuse it. I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
I just don't abuse it. I don't smoke it all day long like Pearl.
Right.
You know?
Plus, that wasn't your drug of choice, was it? I mean, when it came to
No,
getting
not
high.
really.
Yeah. Because that was an old argument about marijuana. Oh, well, it's the next step to a better, worse drug.
It's a gateway drug.
Well, it's not even a gateway drug.
No, but that's what they called it.
You know, I said to somebody once when they said, no, marijuana isn't a gateway drug. I tried marijuana, but it didn't do it for me.
Right.
So I kept going till I found something that did do it for me. But I was going to find it whether I went through pot or not.
Right.
You say that when you were a sophomore, you got into drugs, right? Or
junior year was
year.
the worst year.
Why then, and what was the reason? I mean, when you look back, and I'm sure I don't know if you've gone to shrinks about this, but
Sure.
you probably have. What do you tell them? Can you see your reason why all of a sudden you're a junior and you're getting high on stuff you shouldn't be getting high on?
Oh, what, 1973? You know, the war was coming to an end, and peace, love, and drugs and rock and roll, and I had a long hair and, bell-bottom hip huggers. And I was just a drug addict.
But was there something in your personal life that triggered it at all?
I could use the middle child syndrome if I wanted to.
Okay. Do middle child children
syndrome.
Middle children have a problem that way? I don't know the middle child syndrome. Tell me about it.
Well, like my older brother, my parents lost two before my older brother survived. So he's the golden child, right?
Yeah.
He's the golden child. And then I come along 15 months later, and I'm just like an appendage to him. They dressed us like twins.
Yeah.
And then my younger brother came along 3 years later. He's the baby.
Yeah.
He's the baby. My older brother's the golden child.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You're having a few problems with your signal. Talk to me now.
Okay, how about now?
Well, I can hear you, but you're frozen. The picture is frozen. But keep going.
Really?
It'll probably clear up as time goes on here. Yeah.
So like I said, my older brother's the golden child. My younger brother's the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And what am I? So the only way I could figure I could get attention was negative attention because it was still attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was immediate.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was there was the goal.
Oh, see, we lost him. Oh well. I'm gonna put this thing on pause for a second till we get him back. Well, I think we're gonna have to continue this on another day because it seems like Steve is down. In fact, I have him on the phone here. I guess you could hear him if I say hello, Steve. See, that's Steve Kravitz, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see here. Let me just put it on the speaker. So I want to say, I guess should say goodbye to you, I guess, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, we had no way. I think your internet is down up there. So
right.
Yeah.
Right, because I can't even get into Chrome.
Right. Well, I've got you. I'm pointing my iPhone at the microphone so everybody can still hear you.
Oh, okay.
So we'll continue your life story next time.
All right.
Yeah. So say goodbye to everybody, Steve.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll fix this problem.
Yeah. And that's the technically proficient world we live in, folks.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
It's one testicle difficulty after another. Oh boy, God, and I'm tired tonight. I'm so tired. I don't know what it is. I'm just tired all the time. I went out for a walk today, and it was difficult to walk. I mean, it wasn't easy. So anyway, I'm going to try and do a show tonight. People call, please, tonight. I have my questions as to whether, I keep questioning whether I should keep doing this. I really do. I'm very serious about it because the amount of listeners is less than it has been, and I don't know if that has a lot to do with the fact that when we had Trump in office and we had a lot to yell and scream and get hostile about, that it didn't make for more interesting, if not, what's the word I'm looking for here? It just made for more agita, and somehow people, I suppose, like that in their talk shows. And I mean, I'm so happy there's no Trump. I mean, it's easy, But if that's going to cause us to have less listeners and stuff, I go, I'm exhausted when I do this show at night, and I don't know why. I think it's because it's later in the day. And last night I kept waking up all night long. I got to bed late, and then I got up about 2 or 3 times during the night. So I think I probably was pretty restless in my sleep. So, when I'm tired like this, why am I doing a show? You know, why am I doing it? I have no idea. You know, and so now I have an hour to keep going here, and there's not a hell of a lot to talk about. But anyway, let me bring all these people on, and we can then just hope that they. Oops, you see what happens? I gotta change the view here to gallery. There we go, and life is better. Hello, wait a minute. Brian Neary isn't there. Jeff is there.
Mm-hmm.
Alan is there.
Yep.
Yep. Charlie's there, and of course Trucker Steve and Rocky, and who's his dog, and Bullwinkle, who's his moose. You know, he's from Canada, so he's required to own a moose, and well, we'll wait to see what happens with. Let's see here.
The camera, it's all blurry now.
Polish Scott is coming here. This is, I believe, this is the Scott. Yeah, this is not to be confused with Scott Boddicker, by the way. Under no conditions, that is a different Scott altogether. Here comes Josh.
It's the same Scott. You guys just got me mixed up with Scott Boddicker, so I'm Polish Scott.
Yeah, I know. You're Polish Scott. I see. Okay. And let's see here. Josh is there. Hello, Josh. How are you?
Good. How are you?
And Josh Wheeler. And, of course, John Larkin out there in California. I hope you're all fine this evening. Oh, look who's wearing his shorts. It must be warmer out in California tonight, Brian. You know?
San Francisco's cold. It never got over 60 today.
Oh, well, look, Brian Neary's wearing shorts. So, you know.
He's down in the South.
Huh?
You can go 20 miles outside of San Francisco and it'll be like 20 degrees hotter.
Yeah. And how are you all doing tonight? Anybody? Let's see here. Once again, you're again where, Scott, in Ohio?
I'm in Ohio. Yeah.
You're in Ohio. So's Josh. Maybe you should just get together and visit each other.
I'm Northeast Ohio. You're Cincinnati, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's on your wall? I live south of Columbus, maybe about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
What's on your wall, Scott?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, what's on your wall, Scott? On that wall. Oh, that wall?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Those are all Blu-rays.
That's why you called the show.
Yeah.
He wants your Blu-rays.
Yeah. I had at one time about 600 CDs, but I archived them all digitally. Took me about a year, and they're in a suitcase.
That's what I did with all my DVDs.
Yeah.
You know, I took them and I went ahead and took about maybe 200-300 of them and put them into files. And then it just takes so long because you got to almost do it in real time. You know, it takes a long time to do each one. But you know, there's no reason to have DVDs anymore. You know, it's a complete waste of space. What? So you can brag to people and say, see, I mean, if I lower this, you can see my collection. See, and that's just part of it. But let's put up the window again. There, you know. I love doing that every day when I come in here and I have to raise that. I like to just watch it like come into view, you know. But anyway, so I'm exhausted again. I don't know what it is. I'm just tired all the time.
You took a walk today?
Huh?
You took a walk today?
Did I take a walk today? Yes, I took a walk, and it was very difficult today. For some reason, it was hard for me to walk. I don't know why. Yesterday, day before yesterday, I took a walk and it was no real problem. Once I got, you know, about a couple of blocks and I got my walking legs going, I was fine. So I don't know, you know, it just, who knows what the problem is. Yeah, I give up, you know.
I love Zoom. I was on a Zoom meeting. I was perfectly clear. Got off it, listened to you and Stephen Kravitz for a while, I'm back on it. And on the show, I was blurry, so I rebooted it, and here I am.
Yeah, well, they are looking pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty
good.
good. And don't take this wrong, Alan, but every now and then, members of the audience have somebody they want to dislike.
I'm fine with the fan club, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't take it wrong. You told me not to worry about it. Phil told me not to worry about it.
Yeah. I got a letter today. Oh, when you finally got rid of Phil, I could listen to the show again, and then all of a sudden there was Alan. And I wrote him back, and he said, so I can't listen till he's not there anymore. And I said, well, nice having you as a listener. Have fun.
Yep.
Because I hate it when people do that. I hate it when they did it to Phil.
Yeah.
Don't think that you're making me suffer by telling me that if I don't have somebody on, you're not going to listen anymore. So don't listen.
Yeah.
Or call and argue your point against Alan or whatever your gripe is, right?
Yeah. I can't stand Alan. Well, yeah, if that's the only reason you're not going to listen to the show, then fuck you, because I should be enough reason to want to listen to it. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't care about
so I mean that's it. And I refuse to go along with people who have that kind of attitude, or to coddle to them. That's why I never. People said, why don't you get rid of Phil? So many people complain about Phil, and I went, because when I say call my show, and people call my show, provided they're decent enough, I'm not gonna. Why should I kick them off the show? Because you don't like them,
Right. You who never comes to the show.
Yeah, and to that person who wrote me, fuck you. You'd never call the show. Why don't you be the guy that comes in and adds a little value to it?
Yeah, give Alan a hard time in person instead of on the sideline.
But also, I just, I've always been very resistant when somebody said, I don't like them, don't have them on the show. Then I just book them twice, Really, I'm serious, because I don't like that, and it makes no... It makes no sense to me, and I'm also not going to give in to it as well.
Yeah.
It's
nice to have a fan. I read the side text sometimes too, and they're like, "Oh, the new Phil, Alan." Well, okay. There's a lot of differences, but
there is a lot. There is a big difference between Phil and Alan. Phil was a right winger. Alan's a liberal.
Yeah, middle of the road liberal.
Middle of the road liberal. Yeah. So I mean,
absolutely.
What do I have to have on? Libertarian. Let's get a libertarian on here. Yeah, you should be happy with that. I always thought libertarians to me always were the Unitarians of political people. That kind of middle of the road. We've got to try and keep every religion happy by our. I hope nobody here is a Unitarian. Okay. And
at least 3 of us are Jewish.
3 of us are Jewish, aren't we? Well, Jeff is Jewish. I'm Jewish. You're Jewish.
Right.
Kevin's Jewish. Charlie's Jewish. Josh Wheeler's Jewish.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway. Where are you tonight, Trucker Steve?
Tilbury, Ontario.
Oh, so you're almost home.
You're in Canada.
So you're almost home.
Oh.
When are you going to be home? Tomorrow?
Yeah. I was just at customs for 2 hours because I got into secondary inspection.
You don't look Latino to me.
They went through my truck.
Ooh.
And the load. Fucking idiots.
Why do
children's toys and candy.
What was it? Children's toys and candy?
Children's toys and candy.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It probably was all made in Canada.
That looked suspicious to them, did it? Looked like you were bringing a whole potload of weed, right?
Oh, maybe they thought I was bringing trucks. I don't know.
Oh boy.
You look like the type. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. When I think about drugs, I think
it's the Windsor. Windsor-Detroit crossing. I've been in secondary inspection 3 times in the last 4 times I've crossed there.
Oh, really? Why is that? Is there something going on maybe that is causing them to be overly suspicious, or do they just, is it you in particular, or what?
I don't know.
A lot of drugs come across that border, I would guess. So.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make every trucker a drug dealer or a drug transporter.
That's right. That's right.
It's random.
Yep, that's what I was just going to say. I think it's a random thing. I'm not.
And you won't get bothered for 6 months, probably.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you seem to sound like you've been bothered a lot lately like this, right, Steve?
Mostly I cross Port Huron and Sarnia, which is about an hour and a half north.
Yeah.
But this one I chose to go to Detroit and Windsor. I don't think I'm going to cross here anymore.
Why?
You know, South Detroit is Canada, so that Journey song is incorrect when they say, you know, what do they say? Just a small town boy.
Oh.
Can you get, when you cross a border like that, like in California, for truck drivers in California, they go through a truck stop, and if they have an inspection in the truck stop, they usually give them a sticker. I'm not sure if this holds true anymore because I don't know much about it. And they put it on the window, and they can pass by the truck stops because they're a safe driver or something, or the rig is safe. No.
No, you got to.
Oh, that's not the truck stops, the inspection stations.
Yeah, it's inspections.
Like, DOT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll put a sticker on the window.
Yeah.
Now they got pre-pass.
What is it, Kevin?
Not every company has pre-pass.
They got pre-pass now. You get a little transponder.
Yeah.
And if you're good standing with the company, you know, with your company and stuff, that helps.
Yeah.
But they do inspect you. They keep you on a record, and you can pass by. If they give you the beep on a transponder, you can pass by.
See. I always wondered how that happened.
Didn't you?
But if the light goes up and they say all trucks stop, you have to pull in.
Okay. Steve, didn't you for a while there? You were not using your truck. You were using somebody else's, right? Steve.
Yeah, but that was just for one trip.
Oh, okay. So you're not back to using your rig, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always better to use somebody else's car or rig when you're hauling drugs. And that way, if it gets compensated, it's no big deal, right? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think everybody got that. But anyhow, so, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, let me see here. So as I was talking about it, you know, it's not like it's big news time, you know? It's not like we have a lot of news happening. I mean, we have news.
Did you watch the trial today?
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
I think that Tubin put a couple nails in the coffin there.
Well, look.
That guy was great.
Look, I don't think there's any way possible that Chauvin is going to be found not guilty on some level.
But, you know, that witness there was just excellent the way he just laid it out.
Yeah.
The doctor?
Well, you know, still, we don't know what the defense has up its sleeve. They may have their own doctor who's just
I don't know how they can get around that one.
Well, they might have a doctor who's just as convincing, you know. Like I
don't know. Yeah, that's their doctor that defense has is going to say that he's been using drugs and the drugs has some effect and blah, 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 blah.
Well, those are all probably true.
They just disproved that today.
Oh, really?
Quite well. Quite well.
I missed that.
Well, yes, but you haven't heard the other side yet. That's the point.
I haven't heard the other side
yeah.
yet, but they did a damn good job disproving what.
So there's I mentioned this
and
last
remember,
time.
I'm not listening to MSNBC or I'm not listening to CNN, so you can argue with me on all you want.
Well, no, my feeling is that
Jack will jump all over my ass.
my feeling is that he won't if you don't call him. You know that I saw that guy today, and yes, he was very convincing. Only there was something about him that was off-putting, and it was that damn beard. There was something wrong with the guy.
He was a typical sit in the lab kind of dude that just picks apart shit. He was great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's going to be a very hard case for the defense to make in Chauvin's favor. But we don't know what they have up their sleeve, and we don't know what witnesses they have, and they may have their own expert that comes on that says no way he died from this, and give you the same kind of exposition that this guy did today. But right now, it's the
the idea is for the defense to put doubt in somebody's mind to change that one person.
Yeah,
and he's doing that every time they cross examine. That's being done every single time.
Yeah,
and he's not doing a bad job doing that either.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll take the stand?
No.
Chauvin?
That would be a bad
suicide.
Move. Yeah, that'd be a bad move.
Well, you have your hand up, Alan.
He's taking a lot of notes. So maybe.
Oh, he's writing a book.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So he's gone through about 6 legal pads already.
So, as a former police officer, you can go look at the raw video on YouTube from the time that the cops their body cam, and they show the video of how him kind of acting a little drunk in the liquor store where he tried to pass the illegal $20 bill. The kid called, the police show up, they got their body cam on, they go in, they get the bill, say, where's the guy? He's across the street sitting in that black SUV or blue or whatever. The cops go over there and they try and engage him in a conversation, and the guy is like, a mess. He's rather high or drunk, I don't know what. But in any case, they get him out of the car, they handcuff him, they search him, and the officer walks Floyd back across the street to his cruiser, and they say, we're going to put you in the back of this SUV. And he fights them. I mean, he's not physically fighting because he's handcuffed, but, I'm claustrophobic, all the things you hear all the time, especially when people are under the influence of something.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, but wait a minute. It may, but I'm not. Believe me, I think this officer was in the wrong and should go to prison. That is bottom line. But so up until the point where they put him on his face handcuffed, and he said he couldn't breathe, they should have turned him over, because if you put your hands behind your back like you're in a handcuffed position, it pulls on your chest muscles, and a lot of people when they're laying flat cannot breathe. This guy was already hyped up from rather the drugs or his anxiety or I don't know what. But yeah, it doesn't matter. They should have rolled him over and talked nicely to him and calmed him down, and then said you're going to go to jail. It's this way. Instead, the bad things they did were the two things. Obviously, the knee on his neck. I don't know if it.
By the way, let's mention to the audience who's listening to this. Alan was a policeman.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, taking. So I think until the point where he was face down, and people go face down in handcuffs sometimes to stop him from struggling, but until he started saying that he was having trouble breathing, they should have turned him over and assessed him. And they didn't. And the other officer asked Stobin or whatever his name is,
Chauvin,
a nut job, we ought to turn him over because the handcuffs pull on the chest, the muscles, and he may not be able to breathe. And the guy said, no, he's a big guy. We don't want to do that. And put his knee on his neck. The knee on the neck and the lack of turning him over is what's going to put this guy in prison.
Yeah.
And he deserves to go there. I don't know if the guy's a racist or not, but his procedures were totally off base.
Who I felt a little sorry for was the one cop there, and I don't know which one he is, who was the newest cop of the bunch. And he was there, and Chauvin was kind of his trainer or whatever, So he went out with him along with the other cop. I always felt a little sorry for him because really he was new. He's going to be deferential to this guy who's been on the force for 20 years, however long. And he gets caught up in the middle of this whole thing.
Well, things happen. Shit happens. And
I don't think he was in a position to say to Chauvin, hey, don't do that.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Because he would have they would have went, shut up. Just pay attention.
Huh? Yeah. One thing that I say is thank God that there was all those cameras there, because
Absolutely.
I have a lot of black friends, as some of my best friends are black friends, and man, if the cameras weren't there, there's another dead guy, and the cops would have said, "Oh, he was hyped up on drugs and he was resisting and all this stuff," and this stuff's got to stop. So
I agree, Brian. I totally agree.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's I have black friends, and I've had black friends, and they say you don't know what it's like walking down the street in fear when the police drive by and look at you and stop you and search you, and you've done nothing wrong, but you got to be cool with them or you end up in jail or shot or something.
Well, this is what this is the talk that black parents have with their kids.
I hope so.
Which is, if a cop stops you, don't sass him, don't make trouble, don't do anything. Just do whatever he says.
Charlie?
But did you ever get that talk, Charlie?
Yep, I gave that talk to my son too.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. It's a shame anybody has to give
Absolutely.
that talk to their kids.
Yeah. I never stopped anybody or did anything to anybody based. We had a few blacks and Asians, but mainly Latinos. But I treated everybody the same. I mean, and I still do.
And that was like crap, folks.
That's right. Thank you. Anyhow, it's I have seen racist officers, and I don't like it. It makes me cringe that people.
Yeah. Well, I'm not on Chauvin's side in this deal. On the other hand, I want to see him get a fair trial.
Yeah.
And that in order to do that, we shouldn't make any judgment till we've heard both sides. And they send the jury off to make their decision. Maybe then we could sit here and discuss. And I don't know. Quite frankly, all of this doesn't look good for Chauvin.
No.
But I think what even looks worse is I don't think his legal defense team is all that good. But, you have to remember, here's the thing that bothers me a little bit about a case like this, or any case like this. How much money does the prosecution have to convict this guy? How many lawyers do they have?
Unlimited dollars.
Unlimited legal people.
That's right.
Meanwhile, it's whatever Chauvin can afford. Right?
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong on that?
Well, in like around here in California, you belong to a police union, and if you're charged with a crime or something that you did on duty, they supply lawyers, so you don't have to pay for it.
No, even if they think you're guilty as hell, it's a case like this, and they think
everybody deserves a defense, like you say.
Oh no, I absolutely,
But I think the guy was totally, by not turning him over, and they got body cam where the guy, it shows the guy laying down and say, I can't breathe. They should have turned him over and checked if it was really breathing or if it was anxiety or what. And they didn't. They refused to.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is really bad. And then, and then putting your knee on the guy's neck. I mean, we put our knees.
And his face for 9 minutes. His face was like stone cold.
My question is,
I can't understand that.
My question is,
he was dead.
Would the incident with George Floyd have gone somewhat unnoticed if there hadn't been a camera there shooting it like it is?
Probably.
I mean, I think that's what made the case that sensational.
Absolutely.
And created the whole Me Too, the whole Black Lives Matter movement. It's excuse me, my eyes are burning today. It's allergies. It's really and so that changes the whole tone of this thing, because you've got this video and they're showing it over and over again. They're showing it in slow motion, still frames, everything. Then you've got all the ancillary camera stuff like the body cams.
One or two.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
I mean, you could literally probably take this whole incident and put it together as a movie with different, with different angles and stuff and close-ups, and if it wasn't that well covered photographically, it might have not become the incident that it did. The guy still would be dead, and this would be something that goes on every day of the year in this country with police who are racist.
Yep.
But the big difference here is you had this just horrendous video of what was going on. You see that cop sitting there on the guy's neck with his knee, with his hands in his pockets. What is that all about?
Well, they're gonna go back into this cop's history and find out if the majority of people he arrests are black. And there may be a good reason for that. He may work in an all-black sector or area, but they're going to find out how many complaints he's had against him and by what race, how many times he's hurt people and claimed that it was their fault and they were black or Latino or whatever. So they're going to look into all this stuff.
Well, let me tell you this now, that I used to work in Minneapolis.
Oh.
And I rode with a group called the Black Patrol. These were a bunch of black people, black men, who drove up and down Plymouth Avenue, which is the main street in the black area of town. And they said, why don't you come out with us some night? Take a ride with us as we patrol the area. And I did. And what I saw was disgusting. You know, I always thought of Minneapolis as this bastion of liberalism. You know, you have the DFL up there, the Democratic Farm League, and all of that. And what I saw was some of the worst racism I've ever seen in my life. People driving down the street, okay? People driving down the street, shooting guns out their windows at people, okay? And in one case, this woman's walking down the street, and these white guys pull up and try to pick her up thinking she's a hooker because she's black and she's a woman and she has to be a hooker, you know. And so you do this stuff, and it really, you know, start seeing this stuff, then you realize that Minneapolis was this very racist town. And I said, why do you guys have to patrol it? And they said, because the cops won't. So, I mean, I learned my lesson about Minneapolis back then. Yes, Charlie.
Yeah, you mentioned if there hadn't been so many cameras, I often wonder what things would have been like with Sandra Bland if there had been cameras recording what happened to her. She just got pulled over for not signaling a lane change and ends up committing suicide in jail that night.
Yes. Where was that?
That was in Texas.
That was in Texas, yeah.
When was that?
A couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. It was long before.
You know, it's amazing that in just, I think, maybe the last year or so, or 2 years, a lot of that has changed because the spotlight is on the cops finally.
Well,
you know.
and others too. The Ahmaud Arbery case, that stupid idiot who chased him down was videotaping it.
Oh, yeah, they taped it themselves.
Yeah, the stupid rednecks, they're so stupid that they videotaped it, and the guy said he was following him, and it happened, and they drug him down, shot him. You know, from that, all these videos that are coming out, just...
Well, what's changed a lot of the police being able to get away with what they got away with for so many years is the fact that everybody has one of these. Okay, and in this is a high-resolution camera, better than almost any camera I ever owned when I was doing photography. Certainly better. So people have these, and as soon as something is happening, they've got it on. It's rolling. Surprise! You're on candid camera. You know, and I think what?
How old was the kid who actually took the good pictures at the beginning?
This was a young kid, wasn't it?
She was a teenager. I think she was like 14 or 15.
Right.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
17, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if we had iPhones today, and the Kennedy assassination happened, we would have much better coverage of that than the Zapruder film.
I watched a documentary on that. He was the only guy who had. Alex, what are the chances of anybody having a camera that he had out there that day?
Well, people had home movie cameras, and this was an event maybe that a home movie camera person would want to document because it's the president of the United States coming through, and a very popular president at that.
What do you think that cost them back then? That had to be high price equipment, no? Like
Nah, I mean those. You could buy. I don't know what Zapruder was packing, but you could do that with what they called a brownie.
I think it was 16 millimeter.
Was 16 millimeter? Okay.
So, yeah. That's pretty expensive back in those days.
Yeah, but I mean, you couldn't just pull out your phone and start shooting. And years ago, I was interviewing Dan Rather in New York, and I said to him, I said, you know, with the way things are going, probably every moment on the face of the earth is being documented every second. And I think that's true now. I mean, there's got to be how many cameras rolling right now, and on top of that, add to that the CCTV cameras. Okay, so that adds to more video and information. So that really, in where is it in London, the cops can literally follow a human being through the entire town as he walks and turns corners and things like that. So we're in a day and age where nobody can get away with any of this stuff anymore.
It's being exposed. I mean, in a good way. The people that took a videotape of Rodney King, I think the world woke up and said, "Wow, we all have videotape, and now we can keep the police in check."
Yeah, but Rodney King was somebody with a video who had a little video camcorder that he stuck out the window. That was the beginning of it, but that was the only shot of it.
Right.
Today there might be 5 different cameras that shot it, at least. You know, it's just that everybody's packing a camera now. Absolutely. By the way, we should say hello to our latest acquisition here, Turd Ferguson, whose first name I can't remember now, Turd, and I don't like calling you Turd.
Yeah, I'll figure out how to change that, Alex.
Yeah.
So I see in the little chat here going on that my favorite fan is Jessica Bowling Ball. She writes all kinds of neat things here. And then and then we got Tyson's Acosta that doesn't like John, I guess. John Wheeler. She makes fun of his last name. These are real winners, aren't they?
Well, you know, the thing is that I got to say about that is that this person is saying, Alan, it's not necessary to be the person who speaks after each panelist. It isn't a 2-person panel. Well, I disagree with her. I don't think you're that interruptive. I think there are times like right now where you feel you're an expert on the subject and you were a cop. And you say what you got to say, but then you back off and let everybody else talk. I don't find anybody else find him a problem that way.
No, I think Alan's very informative, but he gives a great perspective.
You know, thank you. I don't think
you. Jeff saying something. Jeff can talk all night.
What were you saying? $10. What were you saying, Brian?
I said that's Jeff's opinion, and he never talks all night, so that's great.
Yeah, and Jessica Bowles, you never call the show.
Yeah,
right? All you do is you write, which is hiding behind the troll curtain, as it were. You know?
Let's rip all the chat
ball.
Yeah, let's rip all the chat
people, and then we won't have anybody listen. Then it's only us.
Yeah. Well, I let's see here, but
we got 47 listeners. Hey, this is
47.
47. Oh wow, we're hitting it big
let's
tonight.
Talk some more shit about him.
Also,
that's right.
What is it? I'm not making fun of Josh's name. I was joking around, Alan, says Tyson Acosta.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's fine. Why even write something like that? You know, I think you're lower than dog shit when you write something.
Well, now you know
about Josh.
That's an overreaction.
Break it up.
Okay, you're lower than my foot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not about me, but about Josh. He's easy going. You know, I mean, come on. He's a smart guy.
Whatever came to equating human beings with pond scum? Whatever happened to that? I ask you. Josh, have you haven't been watching the trial, have you?
Not really.
Yeah.
Works too slam. I mean, all my guys are sick, so they're all out. So.
And there's too much of it. There's too much of it to watch. I mean, you know,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's during the day, and I mean, mean, like I said, I was in there 14 hours today, and finally gonna get tomorrow off because I actually got a few things lined up to help them. But I mean, all my daytime guys are all sick with COVID and whatnot.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Got a lot.
Ohio is very bad.
Yeah. I don't have anyone on days on my shipping side. It's all just backup guys and all that. So, I mean, I've been totally slammed. I mean, I hear the highlights and the kind of summary in the morning when I drive to work, and I'm listening to CNN or the news channels or whatever. So I mean, I like know what's going on.
How do you think those news operations are doing in covering this? Somebody here wrote that, Jesus, he said, I think the wall-to-wall cable coverage of the trial is excessive. How do you feel about that, John? And anybody else too?
I mean, I think they're all over it a little too much. I mean, it's the trial of a person, who committed a crime. They're on trial for murder, but not like, it's not first degree murder or anything. I mean, even if it was, look, it's one trial of a police officer in an area. I mean, I don't really know why it's like super national news. I mean, I don't.
Well, I don't think it would be super national news if it didn't get the coverage initially that it got that caused the Black Lives Matter movement to really get into high gear.
I mean, like I get it. It has relevance and everything, and I don't have a problem with some coverage ever. And I'm not saying it's not important. I mean, it's super important.
I don't think it's. To be honest with you, folks, I don't think it's any more important than a lot of other trials that have taken place in this country of policemen who have abused their power and have killed people in the process and have been put on trial. But somehow those never wound up getting wall-to-wall coverage on a CNN.
I mean,
but this has been going on for years. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think they're on, to get people to watch it or whatever. I mean, I don't know why they stream or they're not even streaming it. I mean, it's all
Well, it's kind of strange though. What's worse, MSNBC, who's running it wall to wall all the time, and just hyping it like crazy and having all their guys going, oh, here's breaking news. Somebody just sneezed on at the trial, and then Fox, who hardly ever covers it.
Doesn't exist.
I mean, where these are the two extremes, and they're both political statements.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's news. I just don't know that it's like the dominating news that it's being, made into by some of those channels.
Well, I think it dominates because the incident was the beginning of a very strong movement called Black Lives Matter.
So it's like, it's hard for me to say that because people might take it the wrong way or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not very important or whatever. I just don't know that it's like the trial or even the news event that it's sort of being, made in. I mean, they're on it, like you said, 24/7, like it's fucking 9/11 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all.
John Larkin.
Yeah. Did you hear about this this Paul Pierce guy? He's it got future NBA Hall of Famer. He gets hired by ESPN to do color commentary, and he was pretty good. He's pretty good, but they fired him because he put on his own Instagram a picture of him, smoking joints and kicking back with some strippers, looking at butts. Big deal. So they fired him. But did you hear one word from Fox? Having his back for culture, cancel culture. Yeah, they didn't fucking stick up for him. Come on.
Well, listen, they've got their own agenda, and they stick up for. I mean, I'm wondering when they're going to start standing up for Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if it was a white basketball player, you would hear it be 24 hours Fox News complaining about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what do? They let him go because he went out with some strippers or hookers?
No, he was having a party with his buddies. They were smoking reefs, and they had a couple of strippers there, and they were just fooling around.
But come on, reefer is legal in what, 16 states now?
Yeah.
Come on, what's the big whoop? That's why I really got to hit Biden with the whole rap on the fact that he let people go because they had smoked. They found they had smoked pot, not in their offices, not in the White House, but in their private lives.
Yeah, how stupid.
And
huh?
I'm telling you, President Biden, that's very unhip to do, because in this day and age, it's no big whoop. And, if they were smoking it while they were at work, we could say, well, if you were drinking at work, that wouldn't be accepted either. And that wouldn't be considered right.
How many of these people have bottles of liquor in their office?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if they were smoking pot at work, yes, I could see that. But the fact that they simply had a history of smoking pot, come on.
Please.
That's enough for me not to vote for Joe Biden again, but then who am I going to vote for? Matt Gaetz?
All right, everybody, that was humor.
Yeah. Matt Gaetz, by the way, is did you see, who was it? There's a guy who was a friend of his who was arrested last year for trafficking in women. Huh?
Yeah. That's the guy we talked about last night.
No, that's not the guy who's the marijuana guy. This is another guy altogether. He was arrested 6 months, 7 months ago. Yeah. And he is about ready to plead guilty to not as harsh charges, okay? And his lawyer was out, and they said, well, what is he going to do it? And he said, yeah, he's probably going to accept, admit his guilt and accept what he gets, And he said, but this must not be a happy day for Matt Gaetz, because he can't be sleeping well, because apparently this guy has goods on him, So.
That's why he's making a deal, so he doesn't, they don't.
I don't see this guy back Trump like it was his brother. I don't see Trump coming out and backing this guy now.
Well, he wouldn't give him. He wouldn't give him a what do you call it? He wanted a unconditional pardon. In other words, for anything that might come up. Right. He goes out and robs a bank. He's got a pardon.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he can do that.
Do not go to jail.
Yeah, but apparently Gaetz knew that there was some stuff coming up on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to get caught with some little girl in his house.
Mr. Ferguson, how do you feel about some of this stuff?
No comment. I don't really care what happens down there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Have you been following this whole Matt Gaetz deal?
No, I've been watching the Masters.
Oh, okay. Well,
Did they move it? Is it in Georgia? There was rumor they were going to move it.
Yeah, you can't move the golf course.
By the way,
other golf courses.
If you're interested in the Masters, I want an answer to this question: why the cops aren't telling us exactly what went on with Tiger Woods in that accident?
He was speeding now,
They say he was speeding, but that's it.
Well, that's all they know.
Yeah, too fast for conditions. He lost control.
Yeah.
Apparently, I knew that the day he got popped. He said they said he was speeding through the parking lot, and that's normal for him.
Yeah.
Is he just a lousy driver? I mean, is he?
Yeah, he's a dick.
He's a dick when it comes to driving. Or you think he's just a dick?
His ex-wife chased him to the. I guess they were getting a divorce or something. Chased him down. And he got in the car and she broke all the windows with what? Not a baseball bat like most of us.
A golf club.
A golf club. I love it.
Oh, it was Thanksgiving, and his freak on the side kept texting him.
Oh, okay.
He hopped in the shower and they text, "Here's my booty" or something like that. Did she do it
with a mashie? Did she do it with a mashie or a 9-iron? That's the question.
Wood.
The wood, yeah. Really, that's good. I knew it was something like that, Brian. I didn't remember.
Do you think his career is pretty much over now?
I think he's done, yeah.
What do you think, Ferguson? Since you follow this,
he's got as many screws in his leg as I had. Yeah, he's pretty much done.
Yeah, they haven't told us the extent of his injuries, haven't they?
He's got screws in his legs. He's got a bunch of screws in his legs. Yeah. I mean, that that can be taken out, but
Did he get out of the hospital?
it ain't good.
How does that affect your? Now you see, this is how little I know about golf. Okay, but how does that affect your playing? Because you can't stand correctly. Because
well, you got to pivot on that
push
leg.
off on your swing.
Yeah,
Got to pivot on that leg.
Yeah.
I think he's got, what is it, left leg or is it right leg? I think it's right leg.
And I think he had back
Both of
surgery.
them you got to pivot on.
Ferguson, do you have any comment on that?
He's
Oh, you're
muted.
muted.
Yeah.
No audio.
No audio. We don't have any audio on you. There you.
Huh.
Well,
I'm gonna figure this out.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Got it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think he's ever going to be back in contention again?
Oh hell no. No, maybe in the senior tournaments. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to golf with a cane in one hand. I think the
no, wait a minute. But if you use the cane as a golf club, maybe you're okay.
There you go.
Putt.
Anyway,
you'll see them at all the miniature golfs in the country.
Scott, what do you think? You've been very quiet. Any comments on any of the things we've been
He's
talking
done.
about? Who?
Tiger Woods is done. Physically, I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I was actually, when they say he was speeding, I expected faster than 80. My assumption was he was going a lot faster, but then they said he was going like 75, 80.
Yeah.
That's what he does in the parking lots.
Yeah, look at the damage to the car.
Yeah.
It was like 40 and he was doing 80.
So there's a way to find out, and it's called skid marks. And if he didn't break,
Nobody's looking at my. Nobody's looking at. Wait, nobody's looking at my
You can
underwear.
also get the.
I knew this was coming up.
Nobody's looking at my underwear. I'm
You can also
sorry.
find out how fast he was going by looking at the
black box.
the readout from the computer, from the car's computer.
Now wait a minute. They talk about a black box in a
that
car.
car had the black box.
Okay.
How many
Well,
cars
all
have?
do.
Wait a minute. How many cars have black boxes now?
Most of them do nowadays.
And why do they call him a black box? That sounds racist.
Well,
Yes, I'm sorry.
$230,000 car has a black box.
Let's see. Jessica Bowles is now writing that Alan's humor misses the mark by a mile. He's not funny, so when somebody else makes a joke slightly subtle, Alan always says humor to try and make it seem like their humor is as lame as his own.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
Jessica Bowling Ball.
but you could back off a little bit today. You're a little rambunctious today. Yeah.
I was going to say the same about you.
Hey,
sorry.
excuse me. Excuse me. Who's paying for this? Huh?
Humor, but you knew that.
Yeah, but I mean, I was going to make a black box joke, but then you made it, and I'm glad I didn't actually, to be honest with you.
You know, they call them black boxes in
But
the
I didn't.
airplanes.
They're orange.
They're not black.
Well, you know what the old joke among comedians was? A lot of people use this in their act. They have these accidents, these airplane crashes, and then they go find the black box, and they can tell what happened in the plane, and of course the black box survives. So why don't they just make the plane out of the same stuff they make the black boxes out of?
That's good. You know, the black boxes in airplanes, of course, are not black. I don't know.
No, they're yellow.
Like
they're yellow.
Fluorescent orange or something.
You want to be able to find them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a movie I was watching. We've been trying to watch it. It's 2.5 hours long. Has anybody seen The Five Bloods?
No, I didn't see it yet. Any good?
Been nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh.
It's terrible. It is boring.
That's a Netflix movie?
It's
With the black guys that go back to Vietnam?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 45 minutes. Oh, fuck this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's Spike Lee, and it is so just full of messaging that my head starts throbbing. You know?
Boring.
Yeah, and it gets worse. We watched a good hour and a half of it, and it just doesn't get any better. Yes, Alan, you got to hold it down a little bit, Alan. But what? What?
There was a shooting today of 5 people in Texas somewhere or something.
Wait a minute,
like
I was talking about the Five Bloods.
I'm sorry.
But we could get back to that. There's been another shooting, another mass shooting. This time there was only one. Well, only one death, Charlie.
No, I think there were more than one.
No, I think
that was in South Carolina. Never, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Texas.
South Carolina's a football player.
Yeah, he played
Football
for
player in
the
South
49ers.
Carolina. Yeah.
Well, I think Biden today finally said he's had it with guns in this country. He said there are just too many deaths now. He said we haven't reported the fact that I think over the last 2 weeks there have been 200 deaths by firearms, and he said enough is enough. You know, we're the embarrassment of the world. We've got to do something about this. And to everybody who ever gripes about, oh, I don't want them to take my guns away. Well, you know, if a kid is playing with a toy and he's abusing that toy, you take the toy away from him, you know? And I think maybe it's time we started taking some of these guns away from people. And I don't think that what Biden was asking for today was profound.
He's not going to get much. He needs this part of the Senate more than 50-50 for a lot of this gun control stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess the news said he needed 10 senators that are Republicans to
he's not
go
gonna
his
get
way, and that's not going to happen, unfortunately.
I don't know. I mean, guns, are they really an issue it should be an issue that's political, or is it not just rational discussion about the kinds of guns we allow to be out there?
How about the guns don't kill people, people kill people? How about maybe vetting people a little bit better?
Well, I don't believe
guns?
No. If people do kill people, but it's people with guns that kill people.
Yeah.
And knives and clubs.
Well, no, yeah, but I'm saying that, you know,
I understand.
You know, this whole idea that it's people that kill people. No, it's people who are armed who kill people. You know, with a knife, a little harder to kill somebody. You got to get up close to them. Okay? You got to, with a gun, you can, with a rifle, you can be across the street.
Yeah.
You know.
Tiger can't sue Bentley for the crash.
Right.
What's this got to do with killing?
Because you're seeing the gun.
Oh,
you know,
I see what you mean.
The car didn't hurt Tiger and ruin the rest of his career.
That was a Bentley?
Yeah, it was a Bentley.
What? No, it was a van though, wasn't it, or something?
It was a Genesis.
SUV.
Genesis.
It was a Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis.
No, okay. It was I think it was owned by the golf people. It had their
it was a tournament car.
Yeah. So well, he'll never get to drive their cars again. How you doing, Tony? We haven't talked. You haven't said a word tonight.
Oh, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying the conversation. I was kind of like, it's kind of hard to follow that whole trial because it's like you said, when you keep watching it, it's kind of disgusting to really see, with the police officer.
Well, I mean, you know, certainly for looky-loos, it's a godsend, you know. But I don't know how much of it I want to watch of this guy's neck being, you know, restrained by a policeman's knee. I get the idea. I don't need to see it over and over and over and over.
I don't get the idea. It's wrong.
Well, it's wrong, of course, but I get the idea. I get, you know, okay, you showed me what went on. I've seen it before. I mean, what I said, who can be a jury, part of the jury in this trial? None of us, because we were all witnesses to the crime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're all witnesses. It was like when Lee Harvey Oswald got killed. That was the first time we ever saw anything like that happen.
Yeah.
And and we were all witnesses. You know, I was sitting there at home. I was sitting there at home. I was home from the Navy. I had
you saw him get shot live on TV.
A couple of weeks off, and I'm sitting there and watching them. They're leading Oswald out.
Jack Ruby.
And all of a sudden, this guy comes out in front of him and shoots him, and the next thing you know, he's dead. Yep.
He was in police custody. They were escorting him somewhere.
Yeah, but
and Jack Ruby jumped out with a .38 revolver and shot him in the chest.
We saw it live here.
Yeah, and so I mean, I was
But all of us who
I
saw
was
it
an
live-
eyewitness live to that
Yeah.
particular crime.
I was watching a documentary on it, and they showed the TV footage of it. It's almost like Ruby. I mean, I know it's going to be the same old thing, but how does he get that close to take him out? I mean, you know that.
Well, no, how he got that close to take him out. Jack Ruby was one of these guys that used to hang out at the police department. You know, he ran a strip club, and he cozied up to all the cops. Okay. And he liked the cops, and he would go. In fact, he would come by and bring them donuts. You know, now imagine these are cops, and he brings them donuts. What are the chances? What are the chances that they would like that?
Yeah.
But he would bring him donuts. He'd give him passes to his club and things like that.
Absolutely.
So they all knew Jack. He was just like he was part of the scenery in Dallas. And so when that day came, he simply was able to walk down the ramp, and all the cops knew who he was, and he just walked in and started watching. You got to remember, in those days, we weren't as protective of people as we are now. I mean, if we were that protective of Lee Harvey Oswald, he would have had a bulletproof vest on when they were transporting him.
They weren't developed at that point, but yeah, you're right.
So Jack Ruby just was able to walk right down there and do what he did.
Somebody said Jack Ruby was connected to the mafia. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But he had a lot of cop friends, and he owned a strip.
You know, if we wanted to, we could spend the rest of the history of this show tearing apart the whole Kennedy assassination.
No, we don't want to go down that.
And you don't want to go down that rabbit hole because there's no answer.
Yeah.
You know, there's no real answer. I maintain it was a mob hit, okay? At bottom line. But we're never going to know. And
I mean, he had to have help, right? Because the way he got shot, they always say the magic bullet. I was watching a documentary on it, and there had to be another shooter, Alex.
Maybe, I mean, we'll never know. Here's what it is that there are certain records of it that are being kept secret. And I think Johnson made sure they were secret, and they would never be revealed till everybody who was alive, who was directly involved in that, whether it was members of the Kennedy family, were still alive. Now, I think we're coming up on that, where most of the Kennedy family is dead by now. But I don't know if the day's going to come where one day they go, okay, all the records are going to be released now, and we find out really what may have gone on. Or we may find out it was no different than we believed it. That in fact, Lee Harvey Oswald was that good a shot, or it was a good freak accident that he could shoot that well.
He was like you, Alex. He shot expert in the military.
Yeah, but I mean...
Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, we don't know, I used to say on the air in New York, when still people were calling the show, and it was still, hours of discussion about the Kennedy assassination, I said, I think I have the most controversial theory of all. And people would say, what? I said, I think Oswald did it. And that's really was the most controversial you could be, because everybody's going, oh no, and it was this, and it was the people up on
the grassy knoll,
and it was this, and it was that, and,
So we have the technology now to slow down the video and see.
No, we were slowing it down then. They were analyzing.
I was 3.
No, but they were analyzing. They were analyzing every single frame. Okay, and I was saying that after a while, when you do that sort of thing, it kind of becomes a blur. You lose all sense of it. And you always find something that says, oh, they were making. There's even a thing. Anybody ever remember the panelist on What's My Line, Dorothy Kilgallen?
Yeah.
She was a writer for the New York Herald Tribune, I think.
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay.
Yeah.
She died mysteriously.
Yeah.
And they say that she was about ready to break the Kennedy assassination wide open. Yeah. And they claim that she was killed because she had that information. And because she was not an old broad, I mean, she wasn't a young broad either, but you know, she wasn't old, and she was in relatively good health. Nobody knew of health problems, and all of a sudden, she's dead. Died here in New York, and all the rumors started flying around that it was because she had the goods on the Kennedy assassination, and she was I think she had interviewed Jack Ruby, who was in prison at that time, and that she was about ready to break the whole thing wide open.
Wow.
So, you know, so you even had stuff like that going on, those kind of rumors.
I think Giancana pushed the button.
Huh?
I think Sam Giancana pushed the button.
And I don't think so. I
So
think it was basically it was the New Orleans mob.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I say this real quick is that he believed that he helped get Kennedy in office, and when you're working the mob, you know the Kennedy's supposed to reward him.
Well, no, they think that there are some theories that it was a mob hit, and that it had a lot to do with the Cuban invasion and all of that, you know.
Okay.
And this fact that the CIA wasn't backed up, and the CIA, here we go, we're going with this whole thing.
Talk about
And I've got like 2 minutes left here, but the basic, one of the basic theories is that the CIA got a hold of the mob, and they wanted them to kill Castro. And so there was a tie-up between the FBI and the CIA, rather, and the mob. And both of these people, once the Bay of Pigs took place, both of these groups were not too happy with Jack Kennedy. And so they think, the main theory running around is that it was a conspiracy between the CIA and the mob. What do you think, Kevin? Is it right or wrong?
Oh, you betcha.
Okay.
You cracked it right open.
Josh, you're the big political guy. Possibility?
I spent a lot of time on the Kennedy assassination at one point when I was younger. I suppose that's possible.
Oh, okay. So that is one of the theories. Am I not wrong?
I've seen my share of the documentation.
Babe Russell.
Yeah.
Josh, how's your wife doing?
Doing good.
Good?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good. I'm glad
she's doing good. She's just waiting to have her surgery.
Oh,
had a scan today, so she's doing good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, listen, that's the theme playing. Jeff, you've been very quiet tonight, but that's fine. You know, it's always just nice to see you there. Brian, good to have you here again. Charlie Wallace, great. Love having our Scott on. He's now I think you're now officially a regular.
3 in a row.
Or as they call you in Boston, a regular. And of course, Josh, always good to have you here. Next time you're on, let's talk a little more about the Kennedy assassination, since you seem to know a bit about it. John Larkin, Alan, Kevin. Oh God, my pal Kevin. I love Kevin. Tony. Everybody loves Tony. Turd Ferguson. Great having you here, Turd. I love saying that. And of course, Trucker Steve and Rocky. There's a companion. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give you a big wave goodbye back. Okay? There they go, folks. There's the citizen panel. And we'll assemble another one tomorrow night. There's going to be one assembling right now over on the next show that's coming up, which is Jack Bishop and the Intersection. He'll be taking your calls on Skype, and you call GabNet Live, GabNet Live, GABNETLIVE. I'll see you again tomorrow night, same time, same station in life at 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, please, whatever you do, we're getting down to the end. Wear a mask and stay safe out